Hi everybody, this is Gijs again with another video and I hope you are doing well. This time it is a tutorial video and it is about how to pitch the Hilleberg Rogen 3. And everything that I say in this video also applies to pitching the Rogen 2. Enjoy the video. And welcome back to the how to pitch the Rogen 3 tutorial video. But for those of you who just tuned into my channel for the very first time, it might be polite to introduce myself. My name is Gijs, I am a Dutch outdoor gear and bike and sometimes gadget reviewer. And I do my work totally independent, so nobody's paying me to make these reviews. And I don't use artificial intelligence also to make these videos. So if you like what I do at the end of this video, then please give the video a like and also consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, because with more of you it's more fun for me to make these kind of videos. Now this video of course is accompanied by a full review that I released earlier on the Hilleberg Rogen 3. So if you did not see that video yet, then I would advise you to go and see that video first before you see the pitching video, because that would just make a little bit more sense. I'll put the link below in the description and also here in the top right or left corner. Now let's start with the pitching of the Hilleberg Rogen 3 itself. But first let's have a look what's inside the pouch. And of course I'm not going to tell you all the sizes and the weights, because that is the information that I have in the video review. But first let's have a look at what's in the bag. Poles, pegs and the tent. And let me take one peg to peg down the pouch, because you might not really see it, but it is quite windy. And by the way, we are making, that's me and my wife behind the camera, we're shooting this video in the Rogan National Park because it is a Hilleberg Rogen. So we thought when we are in Sweden, we are going to Helax, then we can also visit the Rogan National Park to shoot the video over there, because well, Hilleberg Rogen sounds quite easy. Okay. Now let's have a closer look at the poles themselves. They are made by duck. They are made out of aluminum, and you might not see this, but there are 3 poles in there. 2 long ones and 1 shorter one. And over here in the sleeve, a separate sleeve inside the pouch, there is a repair pole, but also a repair sleeve in case you break one of those. Now let's hold on to the pegs. The pegs, they are also made out of aluminum. There's Hilleberg written onto them, but I think they're also made by duck. Nice pulling thingies, which is handy if you want to get them out of the ground or if you want to connect them together with a carabiner. They are 15 centimeters long and there is 14 of them. And they've got these really nice notches to get the guy lines and the loops around so that they won't slip off. Important. Now, and then last but not least, you might have seen this. This is how we pack the tent. What we do is when we pack it, we fold it basically 4 times. So one, and then the other. And then you get this nice roll that totally fits into the stuff bag. In this case, the inner and the outer tent are connected. Because in this way you can pitch the tent the fastest. You don't have to put in the inner tent when you put up the outer tent. And well, now it's not that important because it's dry weather, but on Helax this was really important because we had really foul weather coming and we wanted to pitch the tent as fast as possible. And so when we packed it, we did it the same way again, because you never know. Now, this is what is in the stuff bag, and now let me check first if the side where I want to pitch is totally clear of branches or maybe of pine nuts, because you don't want to lie on them. That sleeps totally uncomfortable. Now let's have a look. Let's get that out of the way. That out of the way. That side bone. Now this looks absolutely fine. So now let's take one peg and then roll out the tent on the most flattest spot that we could find. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Pine cone. Because we're not at the side of a lake here, because at the side of a lake it is absolutely windy at the moment, and it was not a flat spot to be found. So we took this one. Now what I do is I take one guy line that is in the direction of the wind, just to peg down the tent and prevent it from blowing away. One thing that is quite important with the Rogan, there are underneath two black ropes, wires, and they are there to get the tension off the floor fabric when you pitch them. And also all the guy lines and the two lines on the side for the ventilation openings, they can be tangled up quite easily if you're not carefully in packing the tent. So do this careful as well. Now, two ways the tent is laid out. What we like to do is just lie on here and see if this is acceptable, and it is. And what I do now, and that is a little bit different than what Hilleberg does. They have an excellent, Peter Hilleberg does an excellent tutorial video on how they pitch the Rogan on their YouTube channel. But I do it a little bit different, because I think they pack down all the four corners at this point. What I like to do is first get the poles sorted and get them together. Sometimes they are prone to snap because there is an elastic band in there. The poles, I mentioned this, they are duck, but they are duck Featherlight NSL, NFL green ones, which means that they are made in a more sustainable manner with a lot less water usage in the anodization anodization process. Well, you know what I mean. Maybe it surprised you that I do this quite gently, but there's a reason for this. Because if you take a close look at the poles, and let me put this one together first, I take the middle one, then you will see that this one, this part, it is reinforced. And this is aluminum, strong but aluminum. And when you snap this into each other, what I see a lot of people do, then this part might get damaged, and then this will not fit in very smoothly anymore, or not at all. So always do this gently. Top tip. Now, this is the third smaller pole. What I like to do is take one of the longer poles, put it into the pole sleeve, and this is the one that's on the lower end, and I'll show you this later when it's pitched. And it goes in a reinforced pocket on the other side. And don't force this, because if you force it, what might happen is that you're stuck on a piece of fabric and you might puncture the pole sleeve, and that is not good, because then the tent is not very usable anymore. Now let me get it into that pocket over there. And now just use the bottom one, that's how I do it. Push it all the way through until it goes into the plastic cup on the other side. Then you take the other pole, and all of a sudden you have a tent. The third pole, it's the shorter pole. It does not go on the outside in the sleeve, but on the inside. And on the side of this, on this side of the tent, you will see a red color-coded loop. And when you open the two-way zipper, you will find a red color-coded pole sleeve. Now, they could have put a red tape on this one, would have made a nice gimmick basically, because they do color coding with tapings. But because this is the shorter pole, it's not really necessary. Slide it in there. Again, do this gently. And when you're done, all you have to do is basically take the sleeve, fold it backwards, and take the pulling thing and pull the sleeve around the pole, and you're sorted. Now, what I'm doing is a little bit different than what Hilleberg does, because Hilleberg, I think they pack down the tent before pitching the poles, erecting the tent basically. I don't do this, and there's a reason for this, because the Rogan, it is a dome tent, not 100%, it is a semi-freestanding dome tent. And what I can do now is just pick up the tent, which might be handy if I want to lie down in it again and feel again if it is still on the right spot and it feels comfortable. Or maybe when the wind is coming from that direction, but during this process it changes, then I don't want to have the opening in that direction anymore. I want to have the opening maybe on that direction. So that's why I don't do it, why I don't pack down the tent. Now what I do is like so. This is basically how I would like to have it. And yes, I did a little bit of trickery because I had this stone as a reference point, and also this little tree. I don't want to damage that one, so that should be over there. Now what I do now is take the pouch and pack down the tent. And let's start with the four corners. And I love this soil. It's absolutely pack friendly, except on the points where you hit a rock. Let's do the rear one and also the guy line. And then let me do this one. And let's get the gum tree inside the tent. It's going to have shelter for tonight. Now, one thing that is important is that if you take the pegs, that you put them into the ground at an angle of about 45 degrees. And put it in like this, so that the guy lines and the loops of the inner tent are behind those little notches, and that you've got as much in the ground to get a lot of grip. Sometimes you can do it a little bit more like this if there's a rock underneath it, but don't do it like this, because then the force will just tip out the peg. You know how we call this in Dutch? A haring, which is in English a herring, which is a fish. Don't know why. Now let me pack down the guy lines. Start with the ones on the rear. Appa. No, that should go in a little bit further. I will leave this one because this is going to be the entrance and I'm going to trip over it the whole time. And this is the last one. Now, last but not least, the two guy lines for the ventilation. And the last one on the other side. Now, the last thing that you should do is on both the pole ends where they go into the fabric or in the pole sleeves, there are two tensioners and you need to pull them a bit to get tension on the pole sleeve itself. This makes the tent stronger and also look a bit more beautiful. And the second one, like so. And put that one over the leftover peg. Now, this is how you pitch the Hilleberg Rogen 3 or the Rogen 2. And now let me tell you a little bit more about some details of this tent. Because you saw me pitch it and you did not see a footprint. And there's a reason for this, because a footprint does not come standard with the tent. But you can buy one and it's a footprint just for the bottom of the inner tent and it will set you back 135 euros. And it also connects to the inner tent. And why would you like a footprint? Well, basically because it can prevent some condensation, but mainly to protect the floor of your inner tent against rocks, pine cones, whatever. If you have a footprint that covers also the outer tent, then it also helps to prevent condensation or the buildup of condensation inside your tent. But Hilleberg does not do such a footprint. Now let's get into the tent itself and I'll show you some usage tricks or what you can do with the tent itself. One of the things that I like most about this tent is that it is a symmetrical tent, but this side is 130 centimeters and this side is 160 centimeters. So this part of the awning is smaller than this part. Now, this is mostly how we used it, with the small entry, because, well, we are small people, 1 meter and 69 centimeters. Roll this away. And for us, this is the logical way to enter the tent, simply because this is also how the door opens. It opens basically in that direction. So you've got a good entry. Next to that, this space is a little bit bigger for the backpacks. But what is a neat trick is that even without the guy line, I can take away this toggle. And now I can fold it like this. And the inner tent is still sort of protected. It's just started to drizzle a little bit. But now from the outside, protected against the mosquitoes, you've got a wonderful view on, well, basically what's in front of you. What you also can do is, of course, take this one and connect that toggle with the tensioning strap. Let's loosen it a bit onto this one. And now you've got a smaller awning for your backpack or your bike panniers or whatever, but you've got a bigger viewpoint from this angle. And when we were camping on hillocks, this is how we used it, because the view into the valley was way more interesting than that view. So that's how we used it, and also because the wind was coming from that direction. Now, if you want to cook a little bit sheltered, then what you can do is open, of course, the inner tent. Like so. And you can store this away with a loop and toggle system. And if you want to cook a little bit more sheltered from the inside, let me take off my shoes. This gives some space, but if you think this is too cramped, or you really want to cook under the awning, then what you simply do is you take away a couple of these toggles. Take this one out as well, and you simply fold away the inner tent, and now you've got a little bit more space for cooking safely. Be aware of this wire, because this is a trip wire sometimes. Now let me put this back, and you can do this on this side, but also of course on the other side and on that side, because it is a symmetrical tent. Now let me get that one on there again. Now you might be wondering, now let me put on my shoe again. What about this guy line? Well, simple. If I close the door, if I want to do this 100% perfect, and I have this door as the regular opening, I just untie the knot over here, get that one out, and change the guy line to the loop on the other door. And they call Hilleberg the tent makers, but this is something that I find really very clever and well thought of. So now I can use this guy line with the tension on this part of the fabric and use this one as the main door. Now one other thing that's very nice to know is that if you look at the door, it's a two-way zipper. It is protected, of course, with a waterproof material, rubbery-like, so water won't penetrate this. One unique feature of Hilleberg tents is that they've got this red toggle at the end of the zipper. And what it does, you can secure the zipper with this red toggle. Now it will not go upwards when there's a lot of wind. And you can do this from the outside, but you can also do this from the inside, because there is there's a zipper, how do you call this? The zipper thingy as well. If you really want to be secure that nothing goes, then you can use this ring, take that one through that ring and secure it like so. And now this will never go up when it's really foul weather. But hey, this is a tent for the snow-free seasons of the year. That does not mean that you don't get a very big storm, but since of those high arches, oh, we had some pretty hard winds on hillocks, but well, we never use this basically because it doesn't go up in our experience. But it's a very nice detail. Now let me get it loose again. I do understand that if you have a 4-season tent for really harsh conditions, that this is absolutely the way to go. Now, what I also want to show you is that, let me fold away both doors again. The way how we pitched it, it is the inner tent, and let me close this because otherwise we will have to chase mosquitoes tonight. We pitched the tent with the inner tent in the outer tent, but because the inner tent is connected with a towel system, you can take it out very, very easily. And behind this one, I showed you already, this is red color coded. On the inside, this thingy was also color coded, but there is also a red ring and toggle on the inside. So this is the first point that you detach, or when you put the inner tent in there again, that you attach, because it is a symmetrical tent in this respect, but not in this respect. So if you put this one on the other side, the inner tent and the outer tent will not match. So take that one out and take that toggle out. Now the possibility to take the inner tent out completely is and has always been a key feature in buying a tent. And I will tell you why. Because if I can take the inner tent out of the outer tent, that means that when I'm packing with rain, I can pack my backpack, the sleeping bags, the mattresses, clothing, cooking stuff inside my backpack. Then I can take out the inner tent, put that one dry inside my backpack, and then I've got the shell basically left. That one will be wet, and I can store that one separately on the outside of my backpack, or maybe inside in a sort of waterproof storage bag or plastic bag. A lot of other tents where you pitch the inner tent first because that's where the poles go through, and then you put the fly over it. When it's foul weather, pitching, your inner tent gets wet first, or when you're breaking down, the inner tent gets wet last. And I don't think that's a very smart thing to do, especially if you're camping in rainy countries or rainy areas. What is nice about this also is that if you're going out with a couple of friends for maybe a day hike or a couple of days, and you just bring mattresses and maybe sleeping bag, or you don't even bring them at all, it is a sort of group tent, and instead of 3 people, it will fit sitting 4 or 5 people sort of comfortably. So when you're hit by rain or just want to have a nice night with a campfire, this is an absolutely good way to have a shelter. One thing that I cannot show you is the fact that the inner tent also can be used separately with the poles. The only thing that you need to buy is an extra set from Hilleberg, which is basically 4 cups with loops. You attach them to the corners of the inner tent, and then you can use the poles through the loops so that you can pitch that one. And then you have got a very nice summer tent when it's absolutely nice weather and you just want to be protected against mosquitoes. What Hilleberg also does, if the weather is really absolutely nice, then Hilleberg has got a warm weather mesh tent in the collection that retails for 430 euros, weighs approximately a kilo, and that one is made out of mesh. So it is absolutely fully airy, and it will protect you against mosquitoes when it is absolutely nice weather. Now you know how to pitch the Hilleberg Rogen 3 and also probably the 2. I hope you liked this video and that it was useful to you. And if it is, then please give the video a like and consider subscribing to my channel. Many thanks in advance if you do, because with more of you, I say it again, it's just more fun for us to make these kind of videos. Now, I hope you're not done watching yet, because there's many more to watch. Of course, the review video, if you've not seen that one, on the Rogan itself. If you're interested about tents, I also just released a video on a Fjällräven Abisko Friluft 2, a 2-person tent that has a totally different way of pitching. Now, if you are looking for a backpack or maybe new hiking boots or jackets or a down jacket when it's becoming winter, or maybe if you're interested in camera gear, I did a very nice review on the tripod that is below my Sony camera, which is a Ulanzi tripod, a travel tripod, absolutely lightweight. I will put that one in the description with a link below as well. And there will be more links for you also on my favorite outdoor gear and also a tutorial playlist, because I also did a lot of tutorials on waterproof gear and that kind of stuff. So please continue watching because that's good for my YouTube numbers. I won't lie about this. But if you're done with television, mobile or whatever, then please go outdoors and enjoy it. Enjoy the outdoors and stay safe. Ciao, ciao! And now, let's get the stuff inside the tent, because it will be raining. Backpacks!